I first noticed him because of the streetlights. They would flicker when he passed beneath them. Not violently, not dramatically, just a faint dimming, like the bulbs were briefly second-guessing themselves. It was late September when I started the overnight inventory shift at Merrow and Finch Grocery on Belmere Avenue, midnight to 8 a.m., the kind of job you take when your degree stalls out, savings dry up, and your father says things like, "You need direction." 22, back living at home, sharing walls with parents who spoke to me carefully, like I might break or explode depending on the weather. Belmere was quiet at night, too quiet. No bars, no late cafes, just long residential streets and a 4-lane road that cut through town like a scar. I walked to work, 40 minutes if I cut through the old rail path, 50 if I stayed under the streetlights. The first night I saw him, he was at the far end of Sycamore Street. Tall, taller than anyone had a right to be, lean to the point of distortion, wearing a long gray coat that hung wrong on his frame as if it belonged to someone broader. 200 yards ahead. He took the same turns I did, left on Ormond, across the pedestrian bridge, through the rail path entrance. I slowed slightly to create distance. He slowed too. The gap stayed consistent. Coincidence, I told myself. The second night, he was there again, same distance, same posture, hands at his sides. The third night, I left 5 minutes earlier. He was still ahead. The fourth night, 15 minutes later, still ahead. That was when I began counting steps. Fast for 20, slow for 10. He did the same, perfectly, simultaneous, like we were synced. Except he was always in front. I told Eli, produce guy on night shift, quiet and observant, face permanently concerned. We were stacking crates. "There's this guy who walks ahead of me every night," I said casually. "Same distance, same route." Eli stopped mid-lift. "How far ahead?" "Couple 100 yards." "Does he ever turn around?" "No." "Don't try to catch up to him." I laughed. I wasn't planning to. "I'm serious." No smile. "Don't close the distance." Something in his tone prickled. "Why?" He hesitated. "Just don't." That night, I stayed under the streetlights. He was ahead. Lights dimmed faintly as he passed. I tested, stopped completely. He froze. Silence pressed in. My breath, power lines hum, distant dog. One step backward. He took one forward. Distance fixed. The seventh night, I smelled him. Metallic tang at first, pennies soaked in rainwater, then damp earth and something electrical burning. Stronger when I focused on him, when thoughts narrowed, when I measured. Next day, reckless, left 11:30 p.m., 30 minutes early, cut through alley behind mechanic shop, different route. Reached rail path entrance, he was there, already ahead, under the first flickering light, head tilted slightly left, listening to something I couldn't hear. Confronted Eli next night. "You know something." He didn't deny. "Does he ever get closer?" "No." "Spoken?" "No." "Good." "What happens if distance changes?" He wiped hands, fingers trembling. "They disappear, the ones who catch up." "Who?" "My cousin." Air thinned. He said someone walking ahead, same distance every night. We said ignore, don't test. Pulse roared. He sprinted past, mouth dry. Found phone middle rail path, screen cracked, still recording. Recording what? Yelling. It was right in front, smelled like hot metal and soil. Stomach flipped. Video showed? Nothing. Called in sick that night. Told parents migraine, lay staring ceiling, mass hysteria, suggestibility, late hours stress. 12:14 a.m. Bedroom light flickered once. Metallic scent. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. Video message. Hand shook. Opened. Camera downward pavement. My breathing. Ahead, 200 yards. The figure walking. Video ended. Reflection in black screen. Behind me, light flickered again. Didn't turn. Rules formed like survival. 1. Don't close the distance. 2. Don't fall too far behind. 3. Don't focus too long. 4. Don't try to see his face. Fourth came instinctively, because one night I almost did. Raining lightly, rail path slick, streetlights haloed mist. Distance looked shorter. Irrational irritation at fixed space, at control, at life shrunk to footsteps behind something unreal. Walked faster, not a sprint, pushing. Gap narrowed, outline neck above the collar, too thin, skin stretched tight. Metallic smell thickened, ears rang, lights dimmed in sequence, closer. Vision tunneled, back of head twitched, began to rotate, not natural, on a pivot. Stumbled backward, distance snapped back, lights flared bright, lungs burned. He resumed, untouched. He didn't need chase, needed permission. Escalated when father mentioned. Dinner, silence, bites. You look exhausted, still walking night? Yeah. Be careful, talk about someone lingering rail path. Fork froze. What talk? Tall guy, great coat, standing around. Room tilted. Who told? Town meeting. Mother looked up sharp. Don't fill his head. Father frowned. Just saying, stop. She to me, slowly. Have you seen anyone like that? Eyes too focused. Hesitated. Mistake. Hand tight fork. If you see him, careful. Do not attempt to pass him. You know? No answer. Stood, plate to sink, water loud. Father confused. I watched kitchen light flicker once. Night everything broke, overslept. Woke 12:58 p.m. Shift midnight. Panic. Ran, shoes half-laced, jacket unzipped. Air colder. Cut sycamore, breath ragged. Corner, he closer. Not 200, not 100, 50. Not moving, waiting. Metallic, overwhelming, blood and batteries. Lights dimmed around. Slowed instinctively. 50, held. Stepped forward, he matched. Backward, he stayed. Shrank 49, 48. Pulse roared. Realized distance anchored to me. Maintained unconsciously. Fear, obedience. Stepped back, 47. Lights violent flicker. Shoulders jerked, twitch. Head turned naturally, edge of cheekbone, pale, smooth, vision blurred, voice everywhere, not him, everywhere. You're almost here, sounded like me, layered, echoing. You don't have to walk anymore. Rail path stretched, infinite. Tug thoughts, gravity forward, 45, 44. Images flooded, drop in school, father disappointment, mother avoidance. Eli, fear, fixed distance life. You're tired. 44. Heel, curb, edge of sycamore, no more back. He turning. One eye, black, reflective, polished stone. Breath hitched. Rule 4. Squeezed eyes shut, world tilted, swell burned, voice sharpened. Look at me. Mother's now, father's, Eli's, mine. Command through bone, teeth, memory. Opened eyes, not him. Ground, shoes, steady, present, breathing. Did not step, did not look. Voice distorted, angry, static. You are already here. Lights exploded white. Dimmed, he back 200, walking as if nothing. Smell faded. Stood shaken sycamore. Understood terrible clarity. He wasn't ahead. He was where I believed going. Distance not physical, psychological. Space between who I was and who feared becoming. The more I tried close, the more consume. I still walk to work. He's still there, 200 ahead. No longer test, no count steps. Lights flicker faintly passing. Don't focus, don't measure, don't imagine catching. Some nights metallic drifts back. Feel a pull, promise rest, surrender, close gap. But keep walking,
I realized something else. He doesn't move unless I do. One day, if ever stop entirely, if ever believe nowhere left to go, distance collapse, stand face to face, nothing between us, not even me. The more you try to outrun your fear, the closer it gets, because it isn't behind you, it's inside you.
The silence struck Caleb like a physical force. Not the soft, expectant quiet of Maple Hollow settling into sleep, but something denser, almost liquid, pressing inward against his skull until every heartbeat echoed loud in his ears. The gas station's flickering neon clock burned 2:43 a.m. into his retinas. He blinked hard, the red digits smearing like blood on glass. Wait 2 freezing hours for the first Greyhound, or walk the 3 miles home through streets that suddenly felt too wide, too empty? He chose to walk. Maple Hollow had always sold itself on safety. Keys left in truck ignitions, bikes abandoned on front lawns until curfew. Friday night football stadiums packed tighter than Sunday pews. Bad things happened somewhere else, never here. Locals recited it like scripture, half belief, half ward. That evening, he'd lingered with Evan, Marcus, and Lewis under the rusted freight platform of Hawthorne Bridge, wringing the final dregs of summer freedom before senior year swallowed them. They climbed the maintenance ladder, sat with legs swinging over black water, passing flat soda and stale chips. The river moved slow and oily, catching sodium lamps in fractured orange streaks. Evan, voice always too big, leaned far over the rail. "Smells like something died down there tonight. Probably that drainage ditch again. Runoff, dead carp, the usual rot." Marcus snorted. "Or old man Hawthorne's ghost. Flood of '98 dragged him under, never spat him back out." Lewis flicked a chip crumb into the void. "Sewer gas, morons, that's all." Caleb stayed quiet. He selected a smooth stone, flicked his wrist. It skipped once, twice, then sank with a muttered plop. The echo came back wrong, hollow, stretched, almost amused, as though something below had swallowed it and spat mockery in return. No one else registered it. Selfies flashed, laughter bounced too loud off concrete. By 2:15 they scattered, Evan east to the subdivisions, Marcus and Lewis piling into a brother's pickup. Caleb turned west alone, past the bridge, down Ashford Street, beside the long open drainage channel that fed the river like an open vein. He'd walked this route hundreds of times in daylight, never after midnight, never with only his shadow for company. August air had turned cold, unnatural, prickling skin beneath his hoodie. Streetlights marched single file along the north curb. The south side dropped away into steep shadow sloping toward the channel. By day, it was merely ugly infrastructure. Tonight, the concrete looked split open, raw, never meant to heal. He kept to the yellow center line. No cars, no breeze, just the steady electric hum overhead like distant insects. 10 minutes in, the old instinct woke. You are not alone. He refused to turn, blamed late-night Reddit threads, overactive nerves, kept moving, shoulders rigid. Then it came, a faint scrape, metal kissing asphalt behind him. He froze. Silence answered. He turned, slow. Empty pavement, pools of light bleeding into black. Nothing. "Get a grip," he muttered, forcing breath. 3 steps, 4. Scrape, shuffle, tap. Off rhythm, not pursuing, mimicking. He quickened. It quickened. Then breathing, wet, ragged, too intimate for wind. Mouth dry as chalk, he halted.
The breathing lingered half a second past his own silence. He spun. Nothing. But 30 feet back, the manhole cover sat askew, iron disc tilted beside a perfect black mouth. Darkness drank the streetlight whole. A slow, deliberate grind rose from below, heavy weight dragged across distant concrete. A cough twisted upward, stretched into laughter, thin, wet, echoing from pipes that shouldn't carry sound this far. Caleb ran, blind panic, lungs burning, shoes pounding. Behind him, the cover grated back into place with a final tombstone clang. The laughter pursued, now directly under the asphalt, climbing. He didn't look, didn't stop, until he burst through his own front door, bolts slamming home. He told no one, not parents, not friends. Sleep became a ghost he hunted, avoidance his only shield. But guilt is patient, it waits in the marrow. 3 days later, daylight gave him courage. He returned to Ashford. Manhole sealed, pristine, no marks at first glance. He knelt anyway. Faint circular gouges scarred the edge. On his sneakers, sour wet concrete stink laced with rot. Scrubbing didn't erase it. Nights turned ritual. Every 2:43 a.m. he snapped awake, heart galloping, already mid-flight in dreams. Week 1, chance. Week 2, fear. Week 3, certainty. Then the house answered. Soft at first. Tap, scrape, pause, tap, beneath floorboards like settling pipes. Closer each night. Night 9, flashlight shaking, he descended to the basement. Beam swept concrete. Center of the floor, a circular access panel, 3 feet across, recessed handle, fresh bright scratches on the rim. He'd lived here his whole life, never noticed it. Tapping pulsed directly below. He retreated. One slow exhale rose from the dark. Upstairs, bedroom door locked, he sat against it till sunrise. Morning, casual. Dad, what's that panel in the basement? Frown. What panel? Together they looked. Smooth concrete. Nothing. But alone that night, Caleb saw the faint circular dust outline, visible only to him. Friends laughed off his hesitant hints. You're fried, man. Too many creepy pastas. Sounds climbed. Under floorboards, under his bed frame. Paranoia bloomed hot and feverish. Lights stayed on. Bed checked nightly. Ashford avoided forever. 1:2:43, the power died. Blackness absolute. Then, scraping, right beneath his mattress. Concrete groaned, iron slid. Mattress dipped, slow, deliberate weight settling inches away. Cold breath grazed his ear. Voice, hoarse, long buried, whispered, You always walked away too loud, Caleb, just like you walked away from Emily that night. Ice-flooded veins. Emily. 8 years old, hide and seek behind the old house near the drainage ditch. He was 12, bored, irritated by her predictable spots. Counted to 50, shouted, Ready or not, and bolted inside to cartoons, smirking that she'd cry soon enough. She never appeared. Days of search, police, river divers, nothing. Accident, verdict, swept into the storm drain by rain, body lost. He'd entombed the guilt, convinced himself, not my fault. Yet every childhood walk past that ditch brought the sensation of being watched. Now the watcher had words. Lights flared back, bed empty, but the depression stayed, human outline. Floor, perfect circular dust ring. Weeks dissolved, sleep came in stolen minutes, grades cratered, friends faded, parents pushed therapy. He refused. 3 months later he fled. New city, bare apartment, clean slate. They never mentioned the sounds again. House sold lightning fast. Too fast. Distance, he told himself, would bury it. New streets, new noise, but the clock still hunted him. 2:43 a.m. Silence first, thick, suffocating. Then, if he held perfectly still, a faint metallic tap, not under the floor, inside his chest, knuckles on bone. Patient, waiting. Not for solitude on dark streets, for the moment he stopped running. Because whatever crouched under Hawthorne Bridge never crossed state lines. It had lived inside him since that summer afternoon, feeding, knocking, remembering. Some shadows don't hide under pavement. They coil in the choices we refuse to face, and they never, ever forget the steps we took away.
They say the truth sets you free. No one warns you it might devour you from the inside. I moved to Raven Hollow in early autumn, seeking quiet after years of city noise and lab deadlines. The apartment was cheap, second floor, peeling wallpaper smelling of cedar and old rain. On the third night, shifting the bed, I pried up a loose floorboard. Beneath lay a notebook, black leather, edges frayed, cover unnaturally cool. I opened it. The first page held one line in careful, almost feminine script. If you are reading this, you have already been seen. Nothing else, no name, no date. I should have left it. Instead, I carried it to the kitchen table and read on. Curiosity has always been my weakness. I told myself it was harmless, an old journal, a prank. I needed proof before believing more. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, Elias Gray moved next door. Tall, stoop-shouldered, in a charcoal coat too large and outdated. His face seemed mismatched, high cheekbones, thin lips, jaw slightly off, but the eyes, clear as glass, reflecting light like mirrors. He rarely blinked. We met at the mailboxes. He offered his hand. "Elias," he said. Cold fingers, no pressure. Then, everything that follows is drawn from life. I smiled politely. People say that about everything. His head tilted. I don't say things I don't mean. The hallway narrowed. I retreated. That night, the notebook had moved, open on my nightstand. New entry. He prefers the ones who think they are immune. I laughed nervously. Skeptics laugh when the ground tilts. Elias invited me to dinner. Refusing felt riskier than going. His place smelled of rosemary, garlic, and something metallic. Seared scallops, wilted greens, unfamiliar red wine. Silence until he spoke. There is a presence in Raven Hollow, not a ghost, not a demon. We call it the Watcher. Names give shape, and shape gives power. What does it want? Attention, the light in people who refuse to dim. He met my eyes. You shine, even when you pretend not to. Heat rose, not flattery, exposure. He slid a silver ring across the table, spiral etched inside. It belonged to someone who shone too brightly. I gave it the night before she vanished. Vanished how? She stopped being herself until what remained wore her face but answered to another name.
A thought, the hunger to be special, is the easiest trap. I left early. He watched me go with mirror eyes. Sleep fractured at 3:03 a.m., scratching. Deliberate fingernails tracing drywall behind my headbed, slow loops. Then a soft voice from the hallway. Hello. Calm, kind. I stayed silent. I know you hear me. I've been patient. Who are you? A chuckle. Call me what you suspect, the one who sees. I like your mind, sharp, resistant, delicious. The light flickered and died. I sat against the door, every lamp blazing till dawn. The next morning I saw Dr. Mara Klein, the town's only psychologist. She listened as I described everything. Change is traumatic, she said. New place, isolation. The mind fills silence with patterns that look like pursuit. But the notebook, dissociative writing, you project meaning, then discover entries your hand wrote unconsciously, common enough. Have you considered you're writing them yourself? Ice water. I left with sleeping pills and an unbooked sleep study referral. That night, the notebook waited on the kitchen table, open. He is patient because time means nothing. You are running out. Below, in my handwriting, but tighter, heavier, he likes the taste of doubt. I tore the page, burned it, ashes curled. Yet the page remained, words darker. I slept on the couch, lights on, music low. At 1:11 a.m., my phone lit, unknown number. Do you see him yet? Leave me alone. I'm not the one who needs to leave. I threw it. Another message. Look behind you. I didn't. The mirror showed movement, tall, thin shape with glass eyes behind my reflection. I spun, empty. Mirror closer now, edges sharpening, face resolving, mine smiling wrong. Glass cracked top to bottom. A whisper in my voice. Thank you for opening the door. I stopped working. Elias knocked once. You don't have to fight alone. I stayed silent. Note under the door. It feeds on resistance. Acceptance starves it. I tore it. Doubt grew. Was Elias the watcher, a victim, or my invention? Dr. Klein echoed, the mind builds a better version to endure. Discrepancies appeared. Reflection blinked late. Coffee tasted metallic. My voice echoed delayed. Notebook thickened. New pages in my hand. I wanted to be seen. I opened it because I was lonely. I let him in because ordinary scared me more than consumption. The greatest danger is the monster we invite when we cannot bear invisibility. Final night. 3 knocks at 1:11 a.m. I opened the door. Hallway empty. Apartment fuller. He sat on my couch, wearing my face, glass eyes, too wide smile. You kept asking to be special. I answered. Thoughts frayed. You're tired. Let me. Why me? Because you asked. Every doubt, every wish to be more, you called. I listened. Cold fingers on my temple. World tilted. Flashes, lab laughter, confident, alone scrolling photos, reading notebook, not fear, anticipation. I had fed him. Thank you, he murmured. You were exquisite. Vision dimmed. Relief. No more fighting. Quiet. From the corner, my voice. Everything that follows is drawn from life. Silence. His. To be ordinary is not failure. It is survival. If you find such a notebook, leave it untouched. Some truths are better left unread.